Guys, welcome back to the channel and under that general video. And welcome to the science in episode 10 behind the Guardian Farm and the episode 10 of Easy Farms. In this one we'll be taking a look at the science behind why I built this specific design here for the Guardian Farm, and just in general how mob spawning works in general. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So let's start off with how mob spawning works in general. So when you have the player standing in obstacle, you have a 128 block radius around each other, which is made by these glass blocks here, which mobs can spawn. I want to make sure that there's also caves in between, so I want to make sure that they also light up. So you want to just place in torches, I guess. Make sure that you light those caves up, so the only mobs that will be spawning are the ones inside your farm. The second is exclusive to Guardian Temple, so you need to remove the entire monument area in order for this farm to work. You don't need to remove the sand barriers per se, that was just for aesthetics, but you do have to remove the sand. So there's a few different ways that you can do this, but I personally suggest using a design by someone called Ilmanko, and he makes an ocean monument clearer that uses sand. He's like 70,000 sand bucks. It's a little bit pricey, but the building itself is actually quite easy to do, and then yields a lot of excess sand that you can then use for like glass, because you're going to need a lot of glass for this. And then you could use it for other things as well. So then once you have the perimeter cleared and then you're ready to start building your farm. So then that's when I started to work on the drawing board a little bit. I figured out how is it going to spawn the mobs. So really there's a few different ways to spawn the mobs. You can have them just spawn just outright and just have them just fall down and then have water streams bring them, but that's kind of inefficient. And then you also have this design, which involves soul sand elevators to then bring them into a center where they just fall down and then just get killed, which is similar to what we have over there. This design works, but is not very useful, as you still need to put them in the lava, but it involves a lot of soul sand and a lot of tower making, which is the design that I use in my Yukira MC series. It's kind of slow compared to the design that I went for. It's more in a plus shape, and as you can see, it's actually the design that I built in right here. And then you have to make sure that you cover 5 blocks area with glass, just 2 blocks under, just like this, 5 blocks out in every direction, to involve for something called pack spawning to happen. You can search that up on YouTube later, not right now, obviously, so you want to watch this video. And then it involves water being placed in the general area, and then you go down about 10 blocks, and then that's where the lava is, and then a single water stream bring down into one center area, right, like, for example, right there. That then makes them fall down to the killing chamber, which we'll get to in a few minutes. I think this is a very easy design to build, and it involves minimal water buckets, because you can have flowing lava, because Guardians actually can spawn in flowing water, if you can believe that or not. And that's actually a quite useful design feature of Guardian Farms. It makes the last to be very easier. Now let's move on to actually like killing the mobs. How do we get them killed and be able to yield the fastest amount of XP per hour? So in this case, it's 100,000 was the target, and I think I met that goal of 100,000 XP per hour. So let's move on to the killing chamber. So the killing chamber went through a few designs. So we have the original water that was just sitting up there, and then you have like this different designs. So I first started out with, okay, this is quite inefficient, sorry. So let's start that over again. Okay. Alright, my command block's being... So what we first have to do is this Guardian just falls down into the lava, and then takes damage and dies. Then he just falls down into the killing chamber. Now this design is actually quite inefficient, as it's really only useful for when you don't have any pathfinding. But a lot of the times you need pathfinding, which is like the equivalent of pathfinding for Guardians is something called wandering, and that's actually a big problem for most Guardian farms. So you'll have them try to pathfind through the lava, trying to get back into the water, which is a big problem. So what you want to do is you want to make sure the lava is clearly separated by at least 2 blocks to the water, which is when I went through a few different iterations, then I tried this design right here. If we respond, oh my god. Can at least one of you There you go, one of them spawned in. Which allows them dropping through 3 layers of water, lava, and then coming down here and then dying eventually. Eventually. Then this design worked as well, but was even worse on the pathfinding and yielded less XP as more guardians were dying in the lava of trying to pathfind when they shouldn't be. So that design also didn't work. So then I went to this design, which is a design that worked, where they fall 2 blocks in the lava, they fall down, and then you lose about 5% or so of the guardians, which is a lot better than the 15% that we lost on this one, or the 20% we lost on this one. Quite efficient in my opinion, and I think would work quite well in your test worlds. It works quite well. I also tried using Nether Portals and then using powdered snow to get them down to allow even more mobs to spawn, because this also kills the quickest. Gets them out of one part the quickest to allow for more mobs to spawn, but this is actually quite inefficient as it wouldn't work on multiplayer servers quite well, because if you have someone in the Nether and someone in the overworld, if that player in the Nether is more than 120 blocks away from the Guardian farm section, then you could actually have some problems where the mobs just despawn, just allowing the farm to just not work at all. And that is not very useful, so I kind of just scrapped this idea altogether, because it just wouldn't work. So that leads us on to the Killing Chamber. The Killing Chamber went through some few iterations, but it wasn't as many as the other ones. And basically, you could use enchantment tables. They're quite expensive, but they're not that bad. On the top of hoppers, and which allows the player to sweep. Use their sweeping edge sword, be able to kill them through this, and then this is a simple, be able to lock yourself in here method, and then you want to make sure that the water is obviously on, and if we were to spawn a bunch of guardians in here, and then we can just kill them real easily, as you can see they all die, allowing you to get complete XP, because this is the area where the sweeping edge sword can get its stuff from. And it allows guardians to be killed quite easily and very fast, which means we can clear up the mob cap quicker, and be able to allow more spawns to originate appear. So now let's move into the actual work of the farm itself. So here, for example, we have the farm working in the mode where the guardians are really just dropping. So like I said, they're spawning, and then about 5% of them die. So like, for example, that one didn't make it because he is trying to pathfind, so does those two. But a majority of them do make it through. And sometimes you get some, sometimes you get others, but if you get a good round going, you can get a lot of guardians spawning. So they basically pack spawn up here in the chambers, which is 2 blocks wide, by the way. It's more than that. That was just for example. And then they fall the 2 blocks. I think in this case it's 3. Yeah, 3 blocks into the lava. And then they go by 3 blocks, and then they go 2 blocks down into this water chamber, which makes them fall down to the deaths in here, and then are killed by the enchanting setup. This design works really well, and you don't actually need the water there anymore, so this actually went through a different iteration from when I originally showed the farm off. Originally it didn't look like this, but now it works much better this way, I've noticed. So my tutorial is actually a little bit outdated. But this actually is a lot easier to redo. You can remove some signs as well. You only need just 1 layer of signs compared to 3 layers. Yeah, there you go. There's a lot of guardians spawning. And as you can see, very few die. I mean, you can get some dying, but not a lot die, which allows you to clear up the mob cap quicker. And then if you're especially in this mode, you can get a lot to spawn. So I hope you enjoyed this science behind series that I'm gonna probably starting about all my farms, and I'm also gonna be updating all of them. So I'm gonna make a video in the future as well on me updating all of my farms and to make them work on the latest 1.17 snapshots. If for some odd reason don't work, or if I have a different design for them. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.